Good morning and a very warm welcome to this info session on the TOC Python workshop. It's my pleasure to have you all here. Let me just get started here. I hope you're all doing well. It's great to have you here this morning. I want to take you through this session on the TOC Python workshop, which is actually happening tomorrow morning from 8:30 in the morning until 5 o'clock. My goal for today is to tell you all about it so that you can sign up. Join me tomorrow. We are going to go through a full day of learning how to set up your computer, learning the basic components. And by the end of the day, you'll go home with a configured laptop. You're going to go home with a few exercises you've done and a few other goodies that I haven't mentioned. So I hope you're going to sign up for this workshop tomorrow. About myself, like most of you, I grown up in Kenya, Nairobi. And I have gone through various levels of school, all the way from primary school, high school. I went to university, and then I was very fortunate to go and study abroad. And my education has been really a very important part of making me who I am. So I did a degree in electrical engineering, and then I did a postgraduate diploma in mathematical sciences, and then I did a PhD in computational biology. And these were all instrumental in developing the kind of skills and knowledge that I have. The work experiences have also been important in shaping me and pointing me in the direction that I am in right now. And I want to share from my work experience. I've been working for more than 14 years now. And in these 14 years, I have picked a lot of tips and a lot of tricks and a lot of skills. And the workshop is an opportunity for you to join me and learn from me and try and pick up something that, and we start along on this journey. It takes a deliberate effort to grow your skills. And that's why I'm doing this. So I worked at Safaricom as a graduate engineer. I worked at Alcatel Lucent, now called Nokia Networks, as a VAS OSS engineer. I worked at Cambridge, United Kingdom, for about 9 years. They're doing software development on 3D visualization. And right now, I lead a data science team at an organization called data.org, first in the UK. Then I've just recently come back to Kenya to try and champion the things that I'm very passionate about. So, if you are aware of Africa's situation, we are many and we are growing. And that's a great opportunity. But the challenge is, where will all these people find work? Where will they find opportunities to grow their skills? And it is through training programs that are deliberate, that are tailor-made to our situation, that will give us the future we are looking for. In 20 years, these young people will be joining the job market. They'll be looking for your leadership. They'll be looking to you to guide them into a technology-enabled future. And I give it to you that having a strong foundation, a good foundation in something like Python, which is now the most popular programming language, is the gateway to that future. So I really want to impress upon you the importance of investing in your skills. And one of the great books I read, which really makes this point so strongly, is a book by a guy called Carl Newport, where he says, you should be so good that they can't ignore you. That's what you should aspire towards. Now, you may be asking, why Python? There are many other languages out there. Well, here's the truth. You cannot go wrong with Python. I'm going to prove it to you in the next few seconds. You cannot go wrong with Python for two main reasons. Number one, it's a very powerful language. It can be used across virtually every domain, and it's relatively simple to get started with Python. Python is used not just for data analysis. This is for numerical computing, scientific computing, for data science, for machine learning, for visualization, for web design and development. It's used for deep learning. It's used for handling large data, big data projects, for natural language processing. It's used for using these tools called sentence transformers. It's used for image processing. It's used for working with large language models. It's even the basis of a new language called Mojo. So if you want to make inroads into any of these fields, if any of these resonates with you, I would encourage you to get a solid foundation in Python. Now, this is not the first time that Python or coding is being taught, but I'm going to tell you a number of reasons why other courses fail and why you should join the workshop that I'm going to be running tomorrow. A lot of courses cover too much material in a very short time, and you don't really learn anything. You just copy and paste and copy and paste. For example, a 5-day complete Python course, which by the end of that course, you're expected to go out and actually be productive, is deceptive. It takes weeks to actually learn all the things you need to do to be a full programmer. What I want you to get out of this workshop with is the basics in place. You know what you're doing. Most of them don't have a framework. They just go through the material willy-nilly without any structure. And it's very important to have a framework. A lot of them force you to memorize instead of making you think. Programming is a thinking exercise. You have to learn how to think. In a lot of these courses, the challenges are either too difficult, way outside the level at which they have taught you, or too easy, which is frustrating either way. And a lot of them don't emphasize the value of the right IDE setup. And I have a solution for you. If that is your only problem, I have a solution for you coming up very shortly. And unfortunately, a lot of these courses which are offered online, you are in isolation. You don't have anyone to guide you or a community, and we want to put an end to that. So what is TOC? TOC is the framework we use to teach programming. Now, very important point. TOC is not about Python. TOC is about programming. We just use Python as an instance of a programming language that we can help you have a right foundation. What does TOC stand for? Well, T stands for types, how to represent things in the world. They could be numbers, they could be words, they could be categories, they could be your own types. You could come up with your own types. Operations, what are operations? They are how types interact with others. They are the arithmetic, the concatenation, the comparison, and the functions and methods provided within the language. And these two together are so important to understand very clearly. So when you come for the workshop, we will give you material that makes this plain and clear for you to understand. And the third thing, which is unique for every language, are what are called constructs. The constructs are the way in which the language expresses particular features, such as branching and looping and context, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of constructs, and they just change from language to language. They change in subtle ways, and it's important to understand what the constructs are. So that's what TOC is about. Now, here's some examples so that you can whet your appetite. I've got a number of simple things here. So for example, I'm going to just illustrate on the screen. I'll draw little boxes so that you can actually see what I'm pointing out. So here at the top, we are defining variables, and these variables, we have called one X. We've given it the value 5. Now it turns out because 5 is a number, an integer, there are certain operations that go with that 5, and those are the addition, or you can do raising or the power operation. Another thing you could do with different types, if you have things like strings, strings have got a whole class of operations that have to do with them. One simple operation you could do with strings is concatenation. And here we're using a special thing called an F string. An F string is a way that you can embed variables into your string. And the operation we are also carrying out here is printing. We are printing that to the string, and that's a fundamental operation. Another type is a container type called a list, and you can extend lists. So that's the operation there. We are putting two lists together to make a new list. We can also work with dictionaries, and there are a number of things you can do with dictionaries. One is we can create a dictionary, and then there's an operation called an update operation that applies on a dictionary. You can also delete from a dictionary, or you can get the length of a dictionary. All these are some of the operations that you can carry out on these different types. So this is a simple example. Let me show you one which is slightly more complex. And in this example, remember, red means types, green means operations, and blue means constructs. So right here at the top, we have constructs in the form of class. What is a class? A class is a special kind of construct. Def is a special kind of construct that allows you to write your own operations on your own types. Here we have a type called the SQLite adapter type. It's a class and it is borrowing from the persistent adapter class here. So they are connected to one another because one is an extension of the other. So this is a good example of a complex instance where you want to create your own types. And this is the kind of language that we use throughout our course. Now let's switch to another language and look at something which might look a bit esoteric and different from what you're familiar with. This is C, and in C, we have different types. Here we have an unsigned character, we have an integer, we have a pointer, a special pointer, which comes with, this comes with the NumPy C extensions. And you have a pi object type, a pi incref. So this is actually operation, actually. And the operations here are in green. We have creating a new memory object, creating a static cast. You don't have to know what these are. What I'm highlighting here is that making a distinction between the types and the operations is an instrumental part of you learning how to program confidently. And that's what we really want to do. Now, the course is built around a study guide that I've authored. It's available for free online. And in this study guide, we show you how to set up the gold standard PyCharm. If this is your only problem, then I have a special treat for you right at the end that you can check out. Then we look at what are called atoms. Atoms are the very simplest kinds of types. We look at the basic I/O operations, input, output. How do you get something into a program? How do you get something out of a program? And we look at operators, which are special kinds of operations which are expressed using symbols. Then we look at containers. We specifically look at two containers, lists and dictionaries. And then we look at constructs. And we look at three constructs that can really get you started on writing your own programs. The branching construct called if, the looping construct called for, and a function definition construct called def, which essentially turns a block of code into a named block of code that you can operate on. This workbook is 88 pages full of goodness. It's got examples. It's got multiple choice questions. It's got challenges for you to try out. So even if you're not interested in following up on the workshop, even if you're not interested in anything else, download this today. It is free and available at this website, sci2pro.com/code-quickwins. Now, I've clicked on that, and that's the website, and you can see you have the online documentation, you have the PDF, which you can download and save for yourself. You also have there's a video series. If you want to go through that, you can actually look at the slides. Then you can actually click on the multiple choice questions, and you can try them out for yourself and see. Like, for example, here's a question about GitHub. Everything is designed to be very accessible, not too complicated and not too difficult for you to make progress with. Now, again, as I said, there is a PDF, the videos, the slides, and the multiple choice questions. Let's now talk about the workshop. What is different about this workshop from any other? One is it's a live workshop. You're going to be attending this in person if you're in Nairobi. If you're not in Nairobi, I have a special treat for you right at the end, something that can be done virtually. I want you to be part of an amazing and supporting community. We're going to have excellent ambience. We're going to have tutorial support right through the whole process. And we're going to emphasize good coding habits. We want to nip those bad habits in the bud so that you can be confident and do the right things. And it's an opportunity for you to make new friends. So I ask you, sign up and be part of that. So the details about the workshop, it's tomorrow, Saturday, the 6th of September, from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Kileleshwa Covenant Community Church, which is off Oloitoktok Road. And I'm going to send you an email right after this. I only have 2 spaces remaining. So if you want to sign up today. Now, special 50% discount over the next 6 hours. So instead of paying 25,000 shillings, you're going to only pay 12,500 shillings to attend the full day workshop with me and a few others and have a great time learning Python. So book your place, take a screenshot of this right now, book your place now so that you don't miss out on this great opportunity. So I'm going to leave it at that for this part. But hey, I mentioned to you that there's one more thing I wanted to talk to you about. Have you been struggling to set up your computer for Python? Has that been your biggest problem? Well, this is the solution for you. I call it breaking the setup barrier. The setup barrier is once you download PyCharm or VS Code or any other tool, how do you get working with it? How do you make sure that it's able to track your code using Git? How do you connect it to GitHub? How do you run various things? That's what this session is about. 2 hours, and it's a live session. It's going to be happening on Monday, the 15th of September at 8 to 10 p.m. East Africa time. If you're not in East Africa, then just adjust this to your time zone. Please join. It's very affordable. It's so cheap. It's just the cost of a cup of coffee. That's all. And scan that QR code and please join. Join me and let's get you set up in the right direction so that you can, if you don't want to learn through me, that's fine. And I'm offering this very affordable option for you to have your computer set up. By the end of the day, you'll know how to run Python code. You'll know how to create a project. You'll know how to track the changes using Git and pushing them to GitHub, how to pull new projects into GitHub. All that will be covered in this 2 hour live session. So join me for this 2 hour live session. And I'm going to stop here and take any questions. Any questions from anyone from the audience? You can also type in the chat if you have a question. Can we have the registration link? Oh, of course. For which one? For the workshop or this one? Oh, this one. Okay, I will send it to you right now. Both. Yes, I can send you the other one. So the first one I've sent you is for breaking the barrier and breaking the setup barrier. And the second one I'll be sending you is for booking for TOC Python workshop. Any other questions? You're welcome. Any other questions? In my perspective, what are some of the opportunities in coding industry in Kenya in coming days? Python in focus. This is the reason why I've really emphasized Python. Python is the one language you'll see that almost all jobs are looking for. In addition to Python, you'll find other languages like TypeScript or Go, or if you're doing web development, then you may need to know HTML, CSS as well on the side. But Python and JavaScript are really, if you want to have a solid foundation and be omnipotent, like applying in any direction. But another language, if you are going to do data analysis, you need to do R. You need to learn R, which is a very different language. It works very differently. If, in my opinion, I wouldn't even call it a programming language. I would call it a language for interactive development, where you're doing data analysis and exploratory analysis. So it's not really a programming language. But I think because of how the use of AI has become mainstream, it's now applying everywhere. And if you look at all the tools that are being used for AI, all of them, I can say this confidently, use Python. Okay, all of them. If you're writing, if you make a request to ChatGPT to write for you code, by default, it writes it in Python. Even those companies like OpenAI and Meta and Google, they all use Python. Um, so that's one language that I think is really here to stay for a long time. It'll be, I don't know what would have to happen for Python to be removed. Now, why do you need to learn this given that we say that AI can actually write code? Well, you can do so much more if you are in the driving seat. And that's really the aim here. You don't want to be one of those who's going to be locked out because you don't have the skills. And so if you look at tools like PyCharm, which is the IDE I really emphasize, PyCharm now has got a lot of AI integration where it's got a code assist. It helps you with generating code, but you have to know what you're writing. You can't just assume that it's going to give you all the answers. Now is the time to get into coding. It's today, not tomorrow, not next week. Opportunities come and go, and it's up to you to act on them as soon as possible. So now is the time to get into Python. If you haven't learned Python, now is the time. Is it okay to be learning multiple languages at the same time? I'm currently learning R, and I hope learning Python won't confuse me. This is the reason why we use TOC. The whole idea is that once you understand which are the types, which are the operations, and which are the constructs, you have basically mapped it out, whether you do it on a piece of paper, whether you do it in your mind. You train yourself to understand that each of the languages function differently. For example, a for loop in R looks very different. And in fact, in R, you tend to shy away from using for loops. You use the apply functions. But still, it has a for loop if you really wanted to use a for loop. But it's the same idea as a for loop in Python. The only thing that differs is the syntax. Now you'll be asking, okay, then, but how do I then do a for loop if I have a data frame? Well, a data frame is a type. And what are the operations associated with the data frame? If you understand the operations associated with the data frame, then you know what you can do with a data frame. And the more you distinguish between what a data frame does and what a list does, or what a in pandas, you also have data frames. What are the different operations in a pandas data frame? Then you won't confuse yourself. The point is you are constantly applying yourself. Whatever you learn in one, you can always transfer to another. Whatever you learn in the other, you can always bring to the one. So I wouldn't shy away from it. In fact, I think it is necessary in this day and age to have multiple languages, which is why we are not focusing on languages. We are focusing on the framework. The framework is the all important thing here. For you to understand the framework about how programming languages function. And that's what we really want you to learn. Great questions. Keep them coming. I'm going to stay here till the top of the hour, 6 more minutes. But if you have any questions, please ask them. Every question is a way to benefit for everyone in the class, for everyone attending this session. Yes, that is correct. TOC is generally, it's generalizable to all languages. All languages, even assembly, even Haskell, which is a very different framework. It is applicable everywhere. Once you partition things into types and operations and you look at the constructs, you have everything you need. Not only that, when it comes to now doing advanced programming, for example, when you are doing object-oriented programming, it's the same idea. Objects are the result of a class, and a class is a type. And what you really want to do is make sure that the types you create in your program can work well together. And so in a future workshop, I'm going to show you how object-oriented programming actually works, how you can create your own types. And I'll do this using some very simple illustrations. But that's not for today. How do we pay for those who are not in Kenya? Well, let's do this. Why don't you send me an email and let's then find out what options you have. If you can pay by card, I can then show you how to pay by card. You can also We can figure it out. Do you have mobile money in your country? You're transitioning from web development to AI. I'm curious, what technologies have you been using in web development? Have you been using TypeScript and and Python? What have you been using in web? Java? Um, what have you been doing? I'm really curious. But if you want to get into AI, it depends. If you already know Python, if you're comfortable in Python, then I'll just tell you to do projects, do simple projects. If you have not got into Python, the same thing I'll say, just get into Python, start using Python. PHP, HTML, JavaScript. Yes. I don't know if there's much in PHP that is used for AI stuff, but I would strongly encourage you to, yeah, pick up Python. Pick up Python, and if you, yeah, pick up Python. That's the best thing you can do for yourself right now. You have the fundamentals. You know what you're doing. So, but you will need help with getting started with Python, and that's what these workshops and these sessions are for. And in terms of JavaScript, I would ask you to go one step further. Learn TypeScript. TypeScript is a more disciplined version of JavaScript. It forces you to be disciplined. JavaScript can be a bit, what's the right word? It, it doesn't follow any strict, maybe the modern versions do follow strict rules of how to define, different components. But the older JavaScript just accepts anything because the web is very forgiving. Okay, I think I should stop here because I actually do have another call in the next few minutes. Please write to me if you have any questions. I'll just give you my email. You've gotten my emails before anyway, but let me just put it for you in the chat. Write to me if you have any questions. If you want to know how to pay for that session, I will let you know how to do that. It's, as I said, it's just the price of a cup of coffee. That's all. And you're going to have your system properly set up, and then you can use that into the future. Okay, then. So thank you all for joining. It's really been a pleasure talking to you, and I wish you well. And best wishes. Hope to see you at the workshop tomorrow. If you can make it, you can't make it, then why not also join the Breaking the Setup Barrier sessions. Bye.